everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a new playthrough video. Today, I am playing Starforged. This is episode 5, and if you haven't watched the previous ones, I would definitely recommend you go back and watch them. It'll catch you up on the story, but I'll do a quick summary. My captain, Jax Vero, is captain of the ship Astralis. He has been assigned to go investigate some new coordinates that were found on an old ancient relic ship by a race called the Precursors. And Jax has made, and his AI, Dervish, they've made 4 jumps in the ship to get out, and they've got one more jump. However, on the last jump, the next to last jump, they had to do it quickly without letting the ship actually cool down and recharge. And the ship sustained some damage, but Jax was able to make the rolls, or I was able to make the rolls necessary that allowed Jax to do the repairs. It took 10 hours to do the repairs, which I did not want Dervish to make the next jump without me being awake. So I went to sleep, I've woken up, and I informed Dervish that I'm ready to make the 5th jump to these coordinates, and we're going to see what we find. But before we do, we have to actually get there. So again, I did a lot of set a course, and this is the final one for this route. Now, by the way, returning will be much easier, almost to the almost that I don't have to make these rolls, except for that bad one. That 3rd one was really bad. I'll have to go around it. So if I return the way I came, I will have to go around this, but I can return to these coordinates. And since they're known, I'm going to pretend or play that those are they're minimal effort. They won't be dangerous. So let's do this. Let's do this final jump. And if you watched the last episode, you know how this is. I'm adding my supply to the red and hoping to beat the numbers. Not equal, beat the numbers on the other 2. Oh, that's not good. Well, it is. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 does beat the 5, and it does beat the 4. So I am actually able to make this 3rd jump. We have arrived, and the first thing I want to know is if anything is detected. So let's go ahead and roll on the encounters, and we are now in the expanse. So I'm going to roll a D100. This is on page 300, and I rolled a 61. Blue is high. 61 in the expanse is a debris field. So Dervish informs me that we are in a debris field. It's pretty heavy. Does it say asteroids? Mineral asteroids. That's pretty good. Mineral asteroids. So I'll need to make a note of that we have discovered an asteroid field that is heavy in minerals. And so I tell Dervish to make a note in the log of the coordinates, although we already knew what these coordinates are. And I say, is there anything else about these coordinates? I mean, here we are. We're where we're supposed to be. Can you do a wide scan and see if you find anything? So Dervish goes quiet for 30 seconds or so, and I wait in my chair. I'm just sitting there waiting, and she comes back, and she says, Jax, I have found something. What she has discovered is, she says, about half a day's travel, not a jump, but just on standard thrusters, half a day's travel from here, there is a ship, and it is floating. It is in free float. It is not under control. I detect no energy, no life forms, nothing like that. I ask her if she can give me, with a telescope, can she give me a first look? This is on page 327. She tells me 87. 87 is, she says, it appears to be scavenged together. It says built from scrap. Built from scrap. And I say, can you elaborate? Does it look human in nature? I would say probably less than a 25% chance, maybe even less than that, given that this is an unknown area of space. 77. She confirms to me, no, Jax, these are not human structures or anything that I have ever seen on a ship. This is definitely a ship of unknown origin. And I say, precursor tech? She says, well, let's say there's probably a 75% chance, because that's where we got the coordinates, right? 37, yes. She notices some precursor technology on the outside of the ship, some. but some of it is unknown. And I ask her, how far? She says, half a day's trip under normal thrusters. Now, there is a derelict, there it is. There is a derelict ship for rolling on page 348. We will spend the half day traveling there, which means when we arrive, it's probably going to be close to my sleep time. But in the meantime, I double check the repairs I made. I ask her to continue scanning the ship. Let me know if there's any activity as we get closer to it. Does it go active? Anything like that. I also instruct her to be prepared to jump to our previous coordinates at a moment's notice. I want to have that I want to have that to fall back on if necessary. So a half day goes by, and as we get closer, the ship is a derelict. It is not, there's nothing to worry about in terms, it doesn't activate, it doesn't point guns at us, it doesn't raise shields. And as we get near, I think we can get a better outer first look. So let's see what the outer first look is. That is a 1. Blocked access. Interesting. That doesn't, so she informs me that the ship does not appear to have a known airlock. There is no access to the ship or to the inside of the ship that she can see. And that bothers me. That bothers me. I do ask her if she sees any possible way into the ship other than through maybe an airlock. And I would say that, a ship has to have a way in and out. I would say there's an 80% chance she can identify some way into that ship. At 24%, yeah. She says, well, I suspect that the engines could provide access, which, that's not normally a way you want to enter a ship. But she confirms to me that, again, no life forms, there's no energy activity from the ship. It's moving, it's drifting, and it's rotating. It is completely out of power and not under control. So I asked her if she could get us closer to the ship so that I could take a better look. So I'm going to make one more outer, once we close within visible range. We do have weapons on our ship, but they're not really for heavy combat. They're more just for taking a cheap shot and getting out of dodge. So I tell her to target the ship with the weapons, but don't fire. And I tell her, let's go around the ship and see if we can see anything else. So I'm going to do one more look. 85. Signs that others are here, and I'll change that to have been here. She says, Jax, look here. And on the screen, there's a heads up display on my screen. She targets an area of the ship which looks like an access hole has been cut into the hull of the ship, not making probably putting the ship into vacuum. But there it is. Someone else has been here. Notice the burning of the hull around the edge. That is a heavy plasma weapon or a heavy plasma tool. And I ask her, can you confirm, do you sense any movement in the ship? And she says, there is no movement in the ship, no life forms. Whatever came and went into the ship appears to be gone. So I do have a way into the ship. Now, the question is, Kiera just told me to go out and investigate the coordinates and report back what is there. And I'm supposed to keep this on the down low. I'm not supposed to broadcast it in the radio or over comms. I'm supposed to return to Bulwark Station and make a report with the Wayfarers. So, Jax he's an explorer. I mean, that was one of my paths that I chose. So Dervish reminds him, Jax, the instructions were sort of clear on this. We are to report what we find and then return to Bulwark. Now, I'm going to argue with the AI and say, report what we find. Well, we haven't found everything. There's something in the ship, or there's an interior to this ship, and we haven't found it. She knows that I'm trying to get around her logic and her language, and she argues with me that you can mince words and play with words, but the fact is we have identified what is at the coordinates, and there's an asteroid field and a derelict ship, and the derelict ship seems to be probably the most obvious thing related to the coordinates we apparently got from the precursor ship back on Providence. Now I asked Dervish, I say, Dervish, do you think the fact that there's a derelict ship here, do you really think that is related to these coordinates that we discovered? And she rounds off or rattles off some statistics about the odds of there being not just an asteroid belt with valuable minerals, by the way, but also a ship well within the asteroid field that would be probably protected somewhat from scans unless you were in the system. So I think she's convinced me that yes, we have found what we came for. Those coordinates were legitimate, and they did point us to this derelict ship. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reason out: is it a risk, or is there really a risk to going on this ship? It's got a hole in it. It's exposed to the vacuum. Dervish, you've discovered you haven't detected any energy signals, no life, no movement, no weapons powering up, nothing. The ship is truly dead and floating. Is there really a risk here? Now, Dervish cannot override me. If I decide I want to go in, I'm going to go in. But all she can do is counsel me. Now, she also is a wayfarer product, or the ship and her belong to the wayfarers. And so she can report back that she tried to convince me not to do something, especially if it turns out to be a bad idea. But I'm an explorer, and I want to know what is in there. It says, when you come across a wondrous sight or phenomenon, such as a planet, creature, or dazzling stellar object, choose one. I can find inspiration or soak it all in. A derelict ship's not going to really wow me. I'm more that I want to explore it. And guess what? We're going to call this a waypoint, because I can explore a waypoint. It says take +1 momentum. Okay, I'll do that. So my momentum is now +4. And it says, when you finish an expedition and score a hit, mark 1 extra tick on your Discovery's legacy track. Well, this will be a very simple legacy track. I was supposed to come out here and just make note of what is here. So I feel like I've done it. This expeditions in this game are basically jobs. So I started an expedition. I did some set of courses. I encountered some things. My waypoint is going to be defined as this ship. I'm going to go in it. That is a waypoint. It is diverting me from the expedition. The expedition was figure out what's here. Now I'm going to divert from that, and I want to enter the ship. So I'm going to explore the waypoint. And it says I will roll plus wits. Well, my wits are 3. That's my highest thing. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to say, you know what, Dervish? I'm going to suit up, and I'm going to go in. And all I ask is you just keep the engines warm, keep the weapons pointed, let me know if you detect any ship energies in the sector that might pop in while I'm in there. I'm going to go in real fast. I will not be long, and I'll be right back out. And of course, Dervish is not wanting me to do this. So she asks me, how long should I wait before I point the Astralis back to Bulwark and report you missing?
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week, the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.
I don't know. Let me think about it. My suit has, we'll say 5 plus this, 9 hours of oxygen. I have 9 hours. That's a long time to explore a ship. It's not a huge ship. I mean, it's not like a mega starship that would take me weeks or months to explore. It's a starship that somebody's punched a hole in the side to do what I'm going to do. They want to investigate. So I tell her, I tell you what, at 9 hours, you're allowed to at 10 hours. We'll call it 10 hours. If I'm not back in 10 hours, I'm out of oxygen unless I find another oxygen source inside that would allow me to stay longer. I don't want to be in here more than 9 hours. So I tell her, I will be out in 9 hours or less. We'll just cut it at 8. If I'm not radioing you, and I will stay in radio contact, and I ask her, I think, do you think our communications will go inside the ship? She pings the ship with some energy, and she says, yes, the hole in the ship will allow for me to direct the comm waves in, and you will be able to hear me. So I tell her, I'll keep in constant contact with you. I will provide you video feed for the record, and at 8 hours, I will come back no matter what, and unless something happens before then. So 8 hours is my cutoff. All right. So first off, I need to make this roll, right? So this roll is going to be getting there. I'm adding my wits. Oh, okay. 3 plus 5, or 3 plus 3 is 6. It does not beat the 10, but it does beat the 2. That is a weak hit. It says on a weak hit, you encounter something interesting, but it is bound up in a peril or reveals an ominous aspect of this place. Envision what you encounter and take +1 momentum. All right. So my momentum is building. The momentum is sort of like good or bad in this game, and I'm doing good. I'm moving towards a point in the story where this is getting good, right? So what do I reveal an ominous aspect of this place? You know what I reveal is, I know it's a partial precursor ship, but the add-ons to the ship being definitely alien in nature, something that even Dervish doesn't recognize. I asked Dervish, while I'm crossing the void to the ship, I asked her to say, now that we're closer to the ship, can you make any educated guesses on the external parts of the ship and maybe what they, tell me a little bit about them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some rolls. Let's do a descriptor roll. 51. 51, the word is haunted. Well, Dervish says, Jax, you know I'm not one for superstition or anything like that. She goes, but we AIs, we hear everything. We pick up on stories. And I'm getting the willies. I mean, she's freaking me out because I can hear a change in her voice. And I'm like, yeah, you're about to tell me something I don't want to hear now that I'm already on my way to this ship. So she tells me that the extra bits that have been welded onto the ship, the engineering looks perfect. Whoever did it did a perfect job of matching the precursor parts with whatever these other parts were. But she tells me that she has heard stories of alien ships in the expanse, whether they were spotted on scans or spotted in the distance before jumping away, that they always talk about these jagged forms on the ship, almost like they're spiky in nature. And she says, notice on the rear hull, those spiky platforms. It reminds me of a story I heard, and I tell her, I say, you know what? Bad idea. I don't really know if I want to hear this. And she sort of does her AI sigh, and she says, well, since you don't want to know about the rumors, the only thing I can do is make a guess about the added ones. I'm going to ask her to make a guess on the function of these extra parts. Why would somebody weld non-precursor parts to the non-precursor parts to a precursor ship? So let's see what we can find. We could probably find a chart that is not going to be like good, right? Let's see. How about settlement problems? No, that wouldn't do it. I'm sorry. I'm trying to, spaceborne peril might work. Spaceborne opportunity. Let's roll for a word and see what we can come up with. 43. The word is forsaken. So she tells me that, she says, well, I'm an AI. Obviously, I don't have feelings, but just looking at the parts that have been welded on or melded to the ship, they just look like they come from someone who is at the end of their ropes. The material is scrappy in nature. It's worn. It makes the ship look older than it is. So it's almost like they may have given up on making it home, and maybe that's why the ship is floating. Maybe they encountered another ship and stole parts of it, but you can tell that this ship was like a last ditch effort at survival. And boy, that is dark. I mean, that is really dark. I thank Dervish for that, and I've reached the entrance to the ship. So what I'm going to do is let's do this in 8 hours. I've got 8 hours to explore the ship. So when I go in when I enter in, I inform Dervish we're on comms. I'm entering the ship. So I'm going to ask her if she can. Let's see. There was a place where you could roll for the functions of things. Let's find that. Let's we'll try to roll here and make it fit the story. Page 327. So the first thing I noticed, the word is 30. Intimidating profile. As I get close to the ship, I spend a little bit of time going all the way around. I haven't gone in yet. And the first thing I notice is that from one particular angle, the ship looks almost like a giant not a living creature, but a creature that would be in attack. Its wings are in a way that it's almost like it's reaching. So it has this intimidating profile to it. And I record all this. I transfer it back to the ship. And so now I want to enter the ship. And as I enter, this is what I think about. 55. Obvious damage. Not just the hole that was cut, but the precursor parts of the ship that were not covered up by this other Forsaken stuff have damaged. It looks like maybe some weapons damage, maybe some hull damage from the asteroid field that it's been floating through. So I document all of the damage for the second hour. And then finally for the third hour, I'm going to go in the ship. And we are going to roll on page 15 of the reference guide, make a discovery. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm looking for something really interesting. So I'm going to make a roll on here. And what I'm going to do is I only have 6 hours left before I promised Dervish I would return. For every hour that I spend, I'm looking. For each hour that I'm willing to spend, I'm going to give myself a reroll on this chart and pick the one that I want. And I can stop when I'm ready. So for the first hour, make a discovery. Let's just roll one. And by the way, for every hour I don't use, we can look for other cool stuff. That is 100. And it says roll twice. I've never rolled 100 before. Roll twice. Okay. 96. Visions or prophecies of the future. Now, the moment I step into the ship, I can tell it's precursor. The size of the doors, they're not too big. They're not much bigger than a human, but they're shaped unusual. The chairs that you see are bigger, slightly wider. Like maybe the precursors could have been about a little bit taller than humans, but they were definitely wider. Maybe they had wings. I don't know. So I'm going to skip that one. And the first thing I notice are the precursor, the general utility of the ship. It's definitely precursor. So I'm going to spend another hour, and that is a 60. Mysterious device or artifact. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So sitting on one of the, I'll call it a table because it doesn't look like a human table, but I can't imagine what it would be used for. And since there's no power to the ship, I don't know, maybe it was a computer console, maybe it was a gaming table, who knows? But sitting on the table is an unusual device. And I asked Dervish to use my suit scanners to see if she can discern anything about it. There's no power to it. It seems dead. It does appear to have some sort of power cell that would hold a charge, but it's been sitting here for so long that it's obviously lost its charge. I asked her if I were to collect it, could I be putting myself at risk? She tells me, given that the table or whatever it is has no power, the thing has no power, it's probably not booby-trapped or anything because there doesn't appear to be anything connecting to it other than it's just sitting there. Do I want to pick it up? Well, I'm going to write artifact. I tell her, I say, you know what? Let me continue looking around the ship. So I'm going to spend another hour. 44. Majestic or unusual life forms. All right. Given that the scans have shown no life forms, nothing, and someone's already come in the ship, I don't think that my finding a dead life form is highly likely. The precursors, for some odd reason, we don't know what they look like. We have no records of what they look like. So I'm going to skip that one. I burn an hour, and we're going to roll again. 68, new understanding of an enduring mystery. All right. Understanding of the mystery. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to say that Dervish has obtained some additional video of inside the ship that might help the Wayfarers, experts on precursor technology and precursor culture. So we've probably increased their understanding a little bit, and that burned. I've got 2 more hours. I'm kind of hoping I can find something better than an artifact, but let's keep going. 52. A miraculously preserved artifact or specimen. Again, I don't think anyone coming on this ship before me would have left anything. I think this artifact that I did find may have been overlooked, or maybe gravity, maybe the spin of the ship caused it to, reveal itself, and it came to rest against the table where it stopped. So that is another hour burned. And on this last hour, let's have some fun. Let's do another explore waypoint for the entire ship. So I'm adding my wits, +3. 5 beats the 1, but it doesn't beat the 8. Now, that is a weak hit. You uncover something interesting, but it is bound up in peril or reveals an anonymous. All right. So as I finish my scan of the ship, Dervish radios me that her sensors have picked something up. Let's roll to see what she has found. That would be on Spaceborne Peril, D100. 45, a meteor shower. Okay. She tells me that she cannot maintain her position for much longer, that an asteroid from the asteroid belt, there was a collision with a large enough asteroid, and an asteroid is making its way towards the ship. So I tell her I'm on my way. I'm heading back to the ship. I ask her if I have time. She says yes, but you got to be back within 30 minutes. So what I need to do is decide: do I take the artifact or do I not? I'm going to take it. I pick it up. 75% chance that we'll say 90% chance that it's inactive. 59. I grab the artifact, I head to the airlock, or the unknown airlock, and I say, Dervish, I'm coming back. All right, that's 30 minutes. You're going to have to wait to see how everything turns out in the next episode. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me as I played this game of Ironsworn Starforged. I'll be back in a week with the next episode. Until then, everybody, take care.